So today we're going to be talking about the relative pronoun. And the key to the relative pronoun, or the key words that we're going to be looking at, are the words who, whom, and which, and that. Those are really the four basic words we'll be using in the relative pronoun. The who and the whom specifically refer to people. And the which typically refers to a neuter object. My car, which is slow. And then the that can refer to either a person or a neuter object. The boy that was on his bike got into an accident. Or even that car is going fast. So we can see it's functioning. It can function as both. The key to the relative pronoun is that it introduces a relative clause. And so, for example, we have this example: the teacher comma, whom the students loved, comma, won the teacher of the year. All right. So where's our subject in the sentence?
Teacher.
Okay. Where is our verb?
Loved.
Actually, no. Our main verb is won. While yes, loved is a verb, it is not our main verb. And then, so where's our object?
Teacher of the year.
It would, yeah. That's more of our predicate. But yes, this is, that's more of our object. So we have this phrase here, whom the students loved. This is a dependent clause on the teacher. The relative clause here, whom the students loved, is giving us a little bit more information here about the teacher. We could completely get rid of it, and we would have the teacher won the Teacher of the Year award. So we could see that relative clause just told us something about the teacher. Also tells us a little bit more maybe about why the teacher won the Teacher of the Year award. And so this is kind of how the relative pronoun is going to work. It's going to introduce a relative clause that does not carry the main subject of the verb. So we can also see that let me give you another example here where it can function as an adjective. Whoever is against me is not with me. So the whoever here is our relative pronoun. And it's functioning just as a noun. It's functioning as kind of the subject in our sentence, right? The subject, whoever's against me is not with me. I mean, it's the object here. And then, of course, we have two to-be verbs. We have one here and one here. They're both kind of saying the same thing, but in this case, the relative pronoun is functioning as the subject. Not all sentences are going to have a relative pronoun functioning as the subject. There's also an instance in which the relative pronoun can be the object of the preposition. Give the Bible to whomever asks for it. So, give the Bible to whomever asks for it. Here is our preposition, to. We have our subject. And then we also have a pronoun over here. Oh, here's a verb, and here's a verb, but this is more of a command verb. And another preposition. And then we have a pronoun here. What is this pronoun? What's the antecedent of this pronoun, it?
Bible?
Yes. So the antecedent of it is Bible, but we have here whomever is our relative pronoun, and it's being the object of our preposition.
Okay.
So we'll see just a lot of different ways that the relative pronoun functions. Part of when I was first studying this, I found that the relative pronoun was probably the most complicated pronoun to understand. I think a large part of it is that it's fallen out of use in English, and so we don't really know what to do with it. So that's kind of one thing to take into consideration. And so just remember that who, whom will refer to people, which will refer to neuter, and that can refer to both. Now, just like every other pronoun we've seen, the antecedent determines two things. What do they determine?
The case, number, gender, or?
They're going to determine number and gender. So, let's say Jesus, or maybe Jesus, is our antecedent, right? And then we find, I haven't given you the participle yet, but let's say we find home, right? So Jesus would be the antecedent of home. So what two things does home have to agree with Jesus?
Number and gender.
Number and gender, which are, do these agree in number and gender? You don't know that fully yet, but yes, we're going to go over the paradigm here soon. So, but the case is going to be determined by function. So here we have accusative, singular, masculine from hos, and it agrees in number and in gender of its antecedent. You're going to find that to be the case always. Let's go ahead and do the paradigm. So the relative pronoun is a really basic paradigm, but we still need to learn it.
Hos.
Yes.
Hey.
It's going to be hey,
Hey.
and then ho. And then we're going to have who, and we're going to have haste, and we're going to have who. And then we're going to have ho,
Ho.
hey,
Ho.
ho. Pretty standard. And then we're going to have hone, hane, ho. So we see that the neuter has stayed the same in the nominative and accusative. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to write the plural. It'll be hoi, hi, ha. And then hone, hone, and home. And we're going to have hoist, heist, and hoist. And then we're going to have Hus. And
Us.
has, yeah.
Oh.
Ha. This is going to be the relative pronoun. As you can see, looks very similar to the article. There's a couple variations. First things first, there is no tau on any of these. That's one way of identifying it. Second thing is that every single one of these has a rough breathing mark. Every single one. But we see that this looks just like the article that we learned in week 1. And again, the difference between the relative pronoun ho and the article ho is that one has an accent, one doesn't. And then the nominative singular has a sigma, whereas the nominative singular masculine does not. Just some variations there. And so we see rough breathing marks are important to identify the relative pronoun. We'll get rid of these. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. Also, what we see with the relative pronoun that I've been talking about already is that you will never find the main subject of a verb in a relative clause. Paul's really notorious in his writing for holding together a sentence with participles and relative pronouns and prepositions, and he just goes on and on. So relative pronouns, while they may have a nominative, singular, masculine, feminine, or neuter form of a word, it will never be the main subject of the verb. As we saw in the case of our sentence, the teacher, whom the students love, while we had a verb in that clause, it was not our main verb. So we're going to do this one here, just kind of to show you what's going on here. All right. So, ho anthropos, can you parse this?
It is nominative, singular, masculine.
Yeah. So, the man, we could say. So, hone, go ahead and parse hone.
It is accusative, singular, masculine.
So, what's the antecedent of hone?
Anthropos.
Anthropos. That's all that we have here. So we have to assume that hone, or anthropos, is the antecedent of hone. So the man whom gnoskomen, do you know this one? This is present active indicative, first person plural, from gnosko, meaning we know. The man whom we know, didaskale. You probably don't know this one, but this one is also present active indicative, third person singular from didaskalo, meaning teaches. And then hemas, you know hemas now, yes?
Yes.
Parse it out for me.
It is plural. It is
Case first.
accusative, masculine or feminine.
It's plural,
Plural.
and it's first person.
First person.
From ego. So we see would be us. So the man, and then we could go comma, because this is a relative clause. The man teaches us. So we have our subject, or object, and verb. Very simple sentence. But what we know here is whom we know. So it's qualifying the man. It's telling us something about the man. Is what this relative clause is doing. Is that?
We know him.
We know him. Not only does he teach us, but we know him. So it tells us something a little bit. And you will find that, yes, this is a verb. Yes, it has a subject. The subject is dependent on this relative clause to the noun it's being modified. Let me give you one more. So the good thing about the relative pronoun in English to Greek is that they basically function the same. You'll just be able to pick it out a lot easier in Greek and actually use it properly. And the nice thing about this is that relative pronouns occur quite frequently in Greek. Thank you. All right. So idu apostero ton angelon mu prasopusu hos kataskuaste ten hodon su. So we can go ahead and parse some of these. Idu, you know idu, yes?
Yeah.
See or behold.
Oh, yeah.
Behold, apostello, is present active indicative, first person singular, from apostello, meaning I send. So here is our, we'll get there, ton angelon.
It is accusative, singular, and masculine.
From,
Well,
what's the inflected meaning?
Messenger.
Messenger, yes. Why didn't you say angel? We'll get into that later. So messenger, mu.
To you.
My.
My. Oh, my.
To, or before. This one here, prasopusu, would be your face. It was a literal translation. Hos, parse out hos for me.
It is nominative, singular, masculine.
From?
Who?
Yeah, this one would be who. And then kataskuase, you don't probably know that one. But this is future, active, indicative, third, singular, and it means will prepare. Or he will prepare. But we'll go ahead and cut out the he. All right. Who will prepare, tain. Hold on. Parse that for me, please.
Accusative, singular, masculine.
Actually, hodon is one of those strange second declension nouns that's actually feminine. Notice how the tain hodon, the article is telling us the gender of hodon. So hodas is the lexical form, but it's actually feminine, it's not masculine. And what does it mean? We have a su here, which is your, and then here we have way. So, behold, I send the messenger, because we have the article, the messenger, or my messenger. Behold, I send my messenger before your face, or before your way. It's a bit of an idiomatic phrase here. Who will prepare your way? So the host here is our relative pronoun, so everything after the host is a relative clause, right? Because we could just have, behold, I send my messenger before your face, or to your face. A bit of an idiomatic, it's not translated nicely with what we have, but that's basically what we have. So the host, what is the antecedent of host?
Messenger.
Messenger, and how do you know that?
Noun.
Yeah, they agree in number and in gender. So angelon is our antecedent of host. And then we see that we have a nice little phrase here, which kateskuase could be a subject, host could be a subject, and then we have a nice little object over here. But the thing about this relative clause here is that it's completely dependent on angelon. And so you will never find the subject, the main subject, in a relative clause. And that's actually true for both Greek and in English.
Okay.
Any questions on the relative pronoun?
And so, okay, I notice host is like several words down from.
Think of it this way. Think of a comma right here, and then you're adding a clause on your first clause.
Okay, dependent clause.
Yeah.
So it depends on the messenger.
Yeah, it depends on the clause before it.
Okay.